The environment for Tuesday was really conducive towards the northeast for damaging wind. Now, we had quite a bit of tornado activity a bit farther south, but truly this was an incredible batch of severe weather that we had come in.
Yeah, we look at some of the video and you can just hear the intensity. This is University Park in Pennsylvania, where you can just see it kicking up. And when we talk about sheets of rain and it's blistering, I mean, that's what it's like. Those are the type of ones that it's like, you know, that hurts, just the rain itself.
And what's funny, too, is there was a porta potty that got lifted into the air from these storms in State College, Pennsylvania. So you don't know what kind of things can be flying around in big wind events. But it also spawned scenes just like this, too, just the sheer force of those winds. This also coming out of State College, Pennsylvania. So not quite the porta potty moment, but still you can see just how incredible the environment was. Yeah,
that looks like a gustnado, right? You had that low level circulation, but it didn't attach. So that was a small, right? We just highlighted State College. One of this, I'd measure this out. 1,800 miles of storms that came in yesterday, and you could just see the overlapping nature. But I think just in totality, when you look at this, the building, I mean, this kind of overperformed in so many aspects.
Definitely. And when you look at wind speeds, 106 miles per hour down at the surface, that is above a Category 1 hurricane. Category 1 goes to about 95 miles per hour. So that's what you had in Benjamin, Texas. So wind was a big deal, but it was also this cluster of storms that produced about 8 tornado warnings later on Tuesday evening. So it was all modes of severe weather that you had to watch out.
I remember when we were doing the handoff and I was like, hey, this one's not as good, but Oklahoma, Texas, you know, looking potent, because we had just gotten done talking with Mark and he was saying, look, we got DVD size hail coming down. And when you got that type of intensity, you know, there's going to be storms that are brewing. But I think it made yesterday so difficult too was it was the entire day. In the morning, we had so much activity, just like we had in the evening time here in the Northeast.
And I think a lot of that played out in a similar way today even. We had a big MCS that was going through Oklahoma City this morning, and that continued to move through. So that's why flooding is a big concern for a lot of these spots. But taking things back up towards the Ohio River Valley in Daleville, a car struck by lightning. So those are things you may not think about. Okay, you think flooding, hail, tornadoes, but lightning poses a significant threat, especially for wildfire danger too.
Yeah, and then you look at the intensity as it marched its way along from Ohio into western Pennsylvania, and Steel City got blitzed by this. I mean, this is a top 3 type of wind out of the Pittsburgh airport when you're talking about 70 plus miles per hour.
And at one point, over 400,000 people without power. And that's going to take some time for folks to come in and to put the power back in place for a lot of folks. I mean, 70 miles per hour, you have large limbs down. And I think that's a big reason why we had some loss of life with this. People were out and about. You have these big, gorgeous trees. They get toppled over with wind gusts in excess of 70, 80 miles.
Yeah, we saw a lot of those, right? Tree down on the house. You had a roof blown off. So when we give you those numbers, and it's tough to comprehend, like how does 106 mile per hour wind translate? What do 70 mile per hour winds? Those are the storm reports for you, and it shows you how the infrastructure just can't sustain that type of intensity.
And then you keep heading farther up the I-90 corridor, Syracuse, wires down, tree down on a house. I feel like that's just really a common thread between these storms across the Northeast. And this was a level 3 out of 5 for the Northeast. It's been a minute since we've had this much of an elevated severe threat. Tornadoes were possible here, though, as well. You mentioned that gustnado. We had a few tornado-warned storms near Pittsburgh, but it was the winds that will be remembered with this storm up here.
Yeah, and a lot of this damage still going to remain by the time the weekend event comes in. Even that's sub-severe, a roof off of a home means rain is going to be a problem. So we'll keep talking about that. And as spring is in full swing across the Northeast, as I was just kind of alluding to, the Northeast bracing for another weekend of rain. But a lot of question marks on the intensity of that rain and also exactly who's going to get it. The long-range models aren't agreeing, and when that's the case, then, well, you got to wait till you get closer to the event to time it out. So while you want to stay with us here at Fox Weather, we're going to talk about the question marks ahead and also talk about some big events ahead. This is showing you Louisville, Kentucky, where they had historic flooding earlier in the month, and now they're gearing up for the 151st Kentucky Derby on Saturday.